Go to the D.C. Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines. Ian Castleberry joining us. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We are doing really well, and we are keeping busy. And so is baseball. Let's start first with Albert Pujols, Ian, signing with the Dodgers. The rich getting richer? Not if you look at Albert's 2021 numbers. Ian, I did not see this coming. I thought for sure Albert was going to retire, but he's not. Obviously, the big question here is what is the appeal, looking at his numbers, for the Dodgers here?
Yeah, I thought Pujols might retire, but I thought it would be because he wasn't going to attract any interest. We talked last week, maybe there was a possibility that, he could help a team maybe like the Reds or the Indians, maybe even the Yankees, of course the Cardinals, and kind of bringing his career full circle was a possibility. So it is a little bit strange him signing with the Dodgers, but this is a very Dodgers move in that the Dodgers really like to build depth. And even though Pujols is having a subpar season, he was batting 198 when he was released, they do have some injuries. Cody Bellinger and A.J. Pollock are both out of the lineup. Pujols can't play the outfield, of course, but they also lost Edwin Rios, who was their main backup infielder and, more importantly, right-handed bat off the bench. So I think what you're going to see is Pujols is mostly going to play a pinch-hitting role off the bench, but he could also, of course, play DH when the Dodgers are playing at American League parks. But there's also enough versatility in the Dodgers infield, especially with the injury to Corey Seager, which we'll discuss. But Gavin Lux could move to a different position. Max Muncy, who usually plays first base, can play second base. So Pujols might see some time at first base, and maybe with some of the injuries, maybe a little bit more than would have been expected. But I think more importantly, Pujols is a bat, especially off the bench, that Dave Roberts can use against left-handers. And even though Pujols is struggling, he's batting better, 259, against left-handers. So that I think it's really a no-lose situation for the Dodgers. They have to pay him the Major League minimum, actually a prorated version of the Major League minimum. The Angels are still on the hook for the majority of his $30 million salary. So this is just strictly a waiver pickup, and maybe the opportunity to play for a team that's going for a World Series, a repeat World Series, could be a motivating factor. Maybe returning to the National League will help Pujols as well.
See, I like it. I think it's a good sign. I was, I guess, surprised that he signed in the National League, but when you think about it, he had so much success there. Maybe that's what he's trying to regain.
It is, yeah. I was curious because you figured he would have to sign with an American League team, right? Playing designated hitter. But again, Dave Roberts, might be able to get him a decent number of at-bats between pinch hitting and filling in at first base. Who knows what other factors went in, the fact that he's still going to be in Southern California. Maybe he didn't want to move or be away from his family. Maybe that was a factor in this decision as well.
Yeah, I mean, you had mentioned, too, that, he this past season, 2020 did him no favors with the pandemic, trying to reach 700 home runs. He's 667. I don't see that happening. But we'll see where this one goes. I mean, I just think Albert's happy to still be playing baseball. And who knows, if someone goes down, maybe Albert can hop in. But maybe he didn't get any offers from American League teams that you have Albert just as a DH. Who knows what could happen.
I like this scenario of, game on the line. You bring in this guy that's going to be a Hall of Famer for an at-bat. Can he come through for you? I like that.
Oh, man. There will be a few of those moments, I think, for the Dodgers. And speaking of the Dodgers, guys, and Charlie and Ian, Corey Seager gets plunked on the wrist by a pitch Saturday night. Not good news for the shortstop. Certainly not good news for the Dodgers. What is Seager's status right now, Ian?
Well, he did suffer a fracture in his hand. It's the bone, apparently, that kind of is closest to the pinky. But surgery is not necessary, so he won't miss as much time as if he had to go under the knife. But he's still expected to miss at least 4 weeks, which is a pretty significant chunk of time. Seager not having the best season, but still batting .265, 4 home runs, 7 doubles. Like we were talking about, the positional versatility in the Dodgers infield can help with this. So Gavin Lux is expected to play most of shortstop. So will that mean Max Muncy plays more at second base? In that case, maybe we will see more of Albert Pujols at first base than would have originally been expected. There's some people around the Dodgers who actually think Chris Taylor is the team's best defensive shortstop, but he has to play center field right now while Cody Bellinger is out. There's also other possibilities. They could move Mookie Betts to center field where he's played before, but then, you have a hole in right field. And I think there is some concern that if Mookie Betts played center field every day, that might take away from his offense the wear and tear of playing center. So it looks like the Dodgers' depth can cover Seager if he's out for about a month. They also have Sheldon Neuse, one of their younger players who can fill in at shortstop. But, this early in the season still, there's a possibility that if needed, the Dodgers could go out and get a shortstop. Probably not a marquee name, but somebody who could, it might be a utility player on another team or a starting shortstop on a bad team like Nico Goodrum with the Tigers, for instance. Could be somebody that the Dodgers go after at the trade deadline if needed.
Ian Castleberry joining the wise guys and laying out the scenarios for the Dodgers as they lose Corey Seager for what looks to be at least a 4-week span. But you know what, the Dodgers, they'll be okay. I mean, they got other players. Mookie Betts is on there. Turner, just go down the lineup. They're just stacked. Ian joining us courtesy of Happy Hill Restaurant. Ian, what spurred a dugout confrontation between Phillies manager Joe Girardi and his second baseman? Is it Gene Segura?
Yeah, this looked bad on TV. Gene Segura and Joe Girardi going at it in the dugout. A coach had to step in to hold Segura back. But talking to Girardi after the game, he wasn't giving many details. He says, what was said on the bench stays on the bench, essentially. But Segura did commit 2 errors in the game, one of which looked, it was a tricky hop, but it looked like a ball that he should have gotten to. So maybe Girardi said something to him about, hey, focus out there, you need to concentrate more or something like that. And Segura, who knows, maybe he was frustrated as well and just didn't want to hear it from his manager, but he did certainly react with a hot temper. So again, it looked bad, but Girardi didn't really want to talk about it. I thought it was funny that he was going back and forth with the media. I just imagine if something like this had happened in New York.
Oh, yeah.
When Girardi is with the Yankees, I mean, what he had to deal with in Philadelphia. I mean, Philadelphia media can be tough, but it is not the New York media.
No, not even close. I was just going to say, I mean, the Philadelphia media, they don't let sleeping dogs lie. They come after you. But yeah, compared to the New York media, it's a bit of a walk in the park. And Charlie, that's always tough. You coached for 40 years, and I'm sure you had players that were upset with you for one reason or another and whatnot. But, is it best to have that confrontation during the game?
Well, you'd rather not have that during the game, but Girardi's, was a tough player, tough manager. You got to expect some coaching sometime along the way.
Yeah, may ask Keith Jarrett in the next segment, Ian, about, maybe this is what baseball needs, more of this fun, exciting stuff. Not saying make these up, but remember Billy Martin and Reggie Jackson? I mean, that was always big news when it happened, and it stole a lot of the sports news of the day back in the day. Of course, this is before the internet, all that social media. But, this could be one thing with baseball is taking advantage of these things and especially the rivalries and the key players. But nothing wrong with the little dust up between the management, the manager and a player. Maybe more of that for Major League Baseball. Just to give it just a little more of a spunk. Ian, before we let you go, what happened in a loss to the White Sox that has Royals manager Mike Matheny calling out Major League Baseball to take accountability?
So, yeah, there was a play at the plate where Jose Abreu of the White Sox appeared to score on a wild pitch from Wade Davis. The Royals catcher Cam Gallagher got the ball and went to tag Abreu and looked like he did tag him on replay, but umpires called him safe, and the play was reviewed, and they upheld the call. Matheny is saying that replay clearly showed you could see the jersey move, when the glove swipe past. But what got Matheny so angry is that in his words, there's no accountability for who blows that call? Is it on the home plate umpire? There is no replay umpire per se. Video replay can come in from New York, and they can help change a call if there's conclusive angle, but ultimately it's up to the umpiring crew to make that call. Matheny was making this about video replay, but I think this speaks to a bigger problem with umpiring in Major League Baseball. You guys might remember, I've been saying this for years. I don't think umpires are held accountable enough. They don't have to face the media afterwards if they blow a call. If a player strikes out or if a pitcher gives up a home run, they have to talk to the media. Why, if an umpire, blows a ball strike call or incorrectly calls somebody safe or out at first base or home plate, why should they not have to face the media? Why don't umpires get sent down to the minors if they're doing their job poorly, like players would if they were messing up? I constantly get irritated watching baseball games, and then if an umpire blows a call, the second base umpire can't come in and say, look, you blew it, like you often see in football. They might say, okay, you may have missed that, but ultimately it's up to the umpire who originally made that call. Matheny, again, he's talking more about video replay. I think this is a bigger problem with umpiring in general.
Yeah. Charlie, do you want to add to that?
No, I like Ian. Ian, you need to be supervisor of officials.
Well, we'd be getting stuff done, that's for sure.
I like that.
And for years, baseball's always protected umpires from the press, Ian. And obviously, because I'm guessing they're afraid that the public will lose confidence if they sound like idiots.
Probably, and maybe you don't want to put a public face on some of these guys either, even though, cameras can caption them. But you might be right. If the umpire can't adequately explain or articulate what he saw or what happened, maybe that's just a bad look Major League Baseball doesn't want.
Yeah, it's Charlie. I could totally see that happening. And Major League Baseball, it's true. Like a guy like Angel Hernandez, and I know we got like 30 seconds, but that's a guy that has just, and you've not been on his bandwagon unless it's the one that just he needs to go. One of the worst umpires in Major League Baseball, yet he sticks around and he's still here. And I think to the bewilderment of people like Ian and other folks who follow baseball closely. Ian, we got to run, man. This was great as always. Appreciate you, bud. Be well.
All right, take care, guys.
Always. Thank you, Ian. Ian Castleberry joining the Wise Guys, courtesy of Happy Hill Restaurant.